Oops, kick that down. All right, we are live. I want to talk about Andrew Yang's new climate plan that came out today or this morning. I was going to stream about it earlier, but I wanted to see if doing this a little bit later would get more people to show up. I'm not sure. We'll find out as we progress. Um, so just to I'm just using that as a little thing to clarify. Let me begin reading this press release by The Hill. According to his plan, Yang would invest billions in the private sector if elected to create technologies needed to curb carbon emissions, such as the creation of new nuclear facilities, and build electric grid resilience to achieve his goal of a fully green economy by 2049. The Silicon Valley entrepreneur would invest 50 billion in incentives for private companies to invest in an infrastructure modernization and 150 billion in upgrading the current electric grid system, according to the plan, through a race to the top style competition to drive innovation. That's a big deal because when Republicans, when they do their little attack line stuff, they like to say that none of the Democrats believe in um, competition or like letting the market roam free or whatever, just because they like regulations. Let me see. Did you check the latest in that we can nuke her? I heard about it, but I didn't see it be still. I know who the stats person is, but I guess welcome. I don't know. we're not friendly over here. The focus largely differs. Let me see this. Yang's plan also hinges on the use of nuclear power. His plan calls to break ground on new nuclear reactors by 2027, in part to achieve his timeline of 100% renewable electric grid by 2035. The focus largely differs from other presidential climate action plans for its heavy reliance on clean nuclear energy. Some candidates have shielded away from calling for nuclear a divisive topic amongst environmentalists due to the waste it generates. So this is actually like a bold thing because some of them don't like this, the use of nuclear energy. Why does it have such a bad reputation? Two reasons Yang's proposal says of nuclear energy. First, the public's perception of its safety has been skewed by TV shows like Chernobyl and The Simpsons. Oh man, we've been hypnotized by Bart. Second, nuclear waste is dangerous and long-lasting, and disposing of it is expensive. Both points are less an issue with modern reactors. Yang has previously said he supports the idea of storing nuclear waste at the hotly debated Yucca Mountain site in Nevada, a position not typically well received by residents in the presidential battleground state. I don't even think that's really, well, Clinton won it, so it's not, I would say it's more left leaning than right leaning, but I guess you call it a, battleground or something that swaps back and forth if you want to get technical. Okay, Yang's proposal also calls for the establishment of a carbon tax, a concept few other presidential candidates have outright proposed. Yeah, because they like to go, how are you going to pay for it? 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 Okay, Yang's plan would begin a carbon tax at $40 a ton and would increase the rate by $5 a year, and then $10 a year under net zero emissions also are achieved. He said the plan would raise hundreds of billions annually. Yang would use those profits to pay for large swaths of his climate plan, including residential building upgrades. Other unique points in his policy include the creation of a national lab system run under a new Department of Technology that would be focused on researching and advancing the fight against climate change, a climate change adaptation institute with a starting annual budget of 4.5 billion to monitor the effects of climate change, and proposed resilience measures will also be created. So let me see this. I don't know what to tell you about that, man. You decide who you vote for. About this Department of Technology, it's really funny because when I did the stream about the Republicans or conservatives not liking the education department, I made the point of saying that the reason that department was created was to treat the matter of education as a national priority. It's something that was designed so that this topic, that of people getting educations or an education within the U.S., was brought to the forefront of the highest office in the land saw it as something to constantly have a secretary in charge of. So that would be the same philosophy with the technology department because we've seen drastic improvements in technology. I actually the person who said, and they're like 50, they couldn't believe that in just a span of getting their first phone 30 or 35 years ago, which was one of those little we don't want the things at the house or whatever. That we have phones where you can record stuff on them and they just order things. It was really crazy with apps and various other trinkets that just over the course of someone's lifetime have shown up because of all the innovation that's gone along with technology. So I would think that in making that department, the point would be to also uh, check that out. Mm. He calls for the investment of 25 billion over 10 years to help likely impacted communities become more resilient in hurricanes and floods. The plan additionally calls for quintupling the U.S. Forest Service's budget for at least 5 years, with a focus on fire prevention. By leaving all options on the table, heavily investing in research, and activating the patriotism, entrepreneurial spirit, leadership, and community that America is known for, we can make sure that the planet is livable for our children and for our children's children, reads the plan. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. It's going to be a generational challenge, and there will be a constant need to find ways to make our impacts on Earth more sustainable. I like how the last sentence is them saying that Yang is polling between 1% and 3% in current national polls. That's stuck right there purposely to screw with them. Let's see, following Bernie's steps, maybe. Oh, well, they came out about a week from, not a week. Let's see, Sanders put his environmental plan out on Thursday. This is like half a week later, so maybe. But we still don't have I don't think we've had a trade plan from Sanders, so we're probably not going to see that from anyone else. No, I'm saying the article makes sure to tell you that at the end of it. I mean, when you're in a field of 20 people, what the hell do you expect? Like, oh my God. That's why when Moulton got out the race, he said it was a three-person race because only three people are constantly shifting. The other ones are just staying down here because everyone's already like, don't let any of these pundits lie to you. People have already made up their mind. The only thing to actually be worried about at this point is if the polling for Biden, like how far off it is between people that just say they're going to vote for him and actually do. That's where people are going to get the most samplings of votes from because they were making. They're talking about Yang be still. They were mentioning how while Sanders supporters are very loyal, a lot of Warren or Biden supporters like either go to Sanders or some other candidate. Now Harris is at 5%. You saw her drop off. She was at what was it, 17, like after that first debate, and then she just plummeted and lost 12 points. Like, how is it even possible? Let me see how long his plan is. I don't want to get because the length of the Sanders plan actually did catch me off guard in that stream. I was like, oh, I'll just go over here, read a little bit of this, and then we can, continue on with our day. And I read maybe like about if he is be still, then the DNC must like that because he's had the most endorsements from sitting members of the party in Congress than anybody else. Oh, I'm pretty sure that the only people that have endorsed Sanders in Congress so far are Ro Khanna, the other Vermont Senator Leahy, and whoever the Peter Welch or whatever, and then that's it. But Biden's had 5 senators, and like maybe 10 or 11 different representatives. So he's really been making the rounds, unfortunately. Uh, okay, no. Oh, Ruben's there. They're good, good. Did Beto finally drop out? I forgot. No, he's restarting his campaign. Does Joe Walsh have any chance of beating Trump in the prime? Man, you didn't see the stream from yesterday where I played the clip of him talking about how mean and evil and heinous and dastardly Trump is, and how I was like, are you serious? This is your campaign strategy? You're gonna beat a guy with 90% approval rating in his own party by telling them something they already know? They already know he writes little stupid tweets. They don't care, and they shouldn't. It's a tweet. If you want to vote somebody out, vote them out because they're not doing anything, or because what they're doing sucks balls, or because he said something I didn't like. But again, that's why he'll probably be polling at Weld is like at 8 or 9%. He'll probably be polling at like 2 or 3. Let's see. Walsh's entire campaign is It's just it's crybaby stuff, man. I mean, with Sanford, who is the one from South Carolina that's thinking of getting in, his thing is that he was in Congress and he was having this good old time, just like riding Trump's coattails, with the exception of making a couple of comments about the stuff he would say. And then he's still butthurt because Trump didn't endorse him in his primary, and then the person that beat him lost to the Democrat. So he's trying to get revenge on him in that way. Is just like Trump. Yeah, no. In that stream, you can go watch it. I read like 3 or 4 different controversial comments he himself had made. He'll come up here lecturing us about the need for civility, and you said that what was it? Stevie Wonder was just another black millionaire that was something. It was some dumb nonsense, but you get the point that he himself has a thumbprint of saying ridiculous things, or saying things that rub somebody the wrong way. Okay, we have on Yang's his website. He has the number of different things in the timeline. So in 2025, he wants to establish net zero standards for new buildings. But in 2 years later, he wants new nuclear reactors, thorium and fusion, to begin to come online. And then 3 years later, so 2030, zero emission standards for all new cars. 5 years later, he wants 100% emissions free electric grid. 5 years after that, in 2040, he wants net zero for all transportation sectors. 2045, 85% methadone recapture. And by 2049, full green economy. And he has a budget overview. See, this is really organized. Even if you don't like him, like Be Still, it at least tells you specifically what he wants to use for this. Like, he's got right here 40 billion, 60 billion invested in vocation and apprenticeship programs over 15 years. I would love to see more and more people stop applying to these schools and try to get apprenticeships, because like my thing is that when you go to these schools, the whole point of having a stupid piece of paper that calls itself a degree is that you can use this to get a job that will pay higher than if you did not have one. When you go to school and you have to spend, as someone who's been out of high school, let's say for a few months or 2 years, if you went to a community college, when you have to spend thousands of dollars to go to any of these damn places, and you can't afford it, or you don't have that, or you just barely have that, that's a ripoff. That's a pyramid scheme where they're going to take what you already have so that you can have the promise of having something that is high. Like that's dumb. It's stupid. Mm. Let me get a degree to get minimum wage. Yeah, me and this guy that picked me up in Uber like 2 years ago, he was talking about these chicks that when he picked up, they would talk. He would ask people just like, "What's your major?" And he said, and before he could even tell me what it was, I said it's psychology, because it's like every single broad will go out and get a degree in the same field, then they get surprised and they can't find anything, or they're not making something that is suitable for their lifestyle. I mean, like, I saw the same person who bought a $500 or $600 purse stealing somebody's $5 soup, but I'm supposed to feel sorry for that person. But that Bianca one chick, the one that got, that the one that died, she was going to be a psychology major. So like, I don't know what it is about that particular field. I think what it is, a lot of people just get excited about trying to get in somebody's head or do that little psychoanalytical thing, because you've seen it on here where I've had people talk about the way I speak and look and all this other stuff that has nothing to do with anything, and they'll just I think it's them trying to exercise their psychology degree. It's like, if I can't use this for my field, I might as well use it for the computer. Um, Degrees are give people illusion of security. Well, yeah, I've said before, the only real way to have any security in society is to have wealth, and that's about it. Like, everything else is just window dressing. Like, oh, I have this piece of paper, so I've made it. No, you haven't. You have to get the position and then see if you can make back what it cost. So that's that. Um, you must know how to chat with the general public. I mean, I don't know who. Oh, you're not talking to me in particular. What did Filthy Frank major in? I have no idea. Let's see. James says I am working on fruit picking robots at the moment without the UBI. The future is gloomy. Well, that's why I said it really, people piss me off, because, like, you understand the conservative way of thinking about that. You're going to give all these people $1,000 just for being people. But, when we talk about wanting higher wages, they tell you that, just get over it and accept what you're given. Where, they completely ignore the fact that you get up and go to work for a full shift, that when you go to school for free, you still have to work by studying to pass these classes. They just cut out the middleman. They act like, once we give you this sum of money, you don't have to do anything ever again. There's no type of work involved on your part, and you're just looking for a free ride. So that's why I don't really like talking to a lot of these people, because they don't think about stuff on any kind of deeper level. So he still says starving wage. Yeah, like, that's why I said that whenever anyone is for a higher wage, whether it's like, whether it's 15 or a little bit above that, I'm fine with it. And like I said, all these idiots talking about, if you put in a higher wage, then the company's gonna fire everybody. And, yeah. No, if you have a governor or a that's state legislator or Congress who passes a law that raises the wage by, let's say, $2-3 nationally, and they put in a provision that it is illegal for a business to fire any number of workers after this wage is put in, they can't screw with you. And then people talk about, oh, the prices of things will go up if wages go up. It's like, yeah, but that's why we have price controls. That's why we make it illegal for that to occur, so that we can't purposely, they can't screw with you once you get a little bit more. And also, I mean, it's just whatever. People, they try to find ways to be against everything. Hours are still hours. Whatever you do, it's time out of your life. Uh, Dirk says he got the big bucks and a anti-union environment, propaganda against collective bargaining. Oh yeah, where they try to, like, pretend as if, because none of these, I've said before, none of these businesses can survive without the workers, and they still treat them like trash. So when they finally get together and say, we're sick of the way you've acted toward us, people try to make it seem as if there's some kind of evil, like the workers are horrible people, when you were fine with them when they were getting paid whatever you felt like paying them, and they weren't saying anything. Where did all those people who take psychology end up working at least with everyone I've talked to that actually went to pay, what is this, to J careers in that field, look like they are actually intelligent. Oh, to get careers in that field. I was getting confused, Ruben. Sometimes when you type stuff, I have to, like, decipher what a spelling error might mean. Well, that's what kind of thing the guy was talking about, how all these people take this field and they overinflate this market, and, like, even if they're able to get a position with this job, they're still not actually being able to afford their lifestyle. So it's all about just trying to figure out what is the purpose of everyone jumping headfirst into this position. Because like, I think of all the different people I knew that are into that particular subject, and it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, what is so appealing to where every other broad I know keeps going into that field? Was math too hard? I mean, like I just didn't understand. Well, I do understand math being hard, but there's other stuff. That's all I'm saying. What degree do you need to get to go work in real estate? I would have to look it up. James says, I am pretty lefty, but price controls are a slippery slope. The problem is the future economy will not be dependent on human labor, scary stuff. Well, look, all I'm saying is there are measures that can be put in place that I have not seen over the course of my lifetime when people talk about raising wages to protect those wages for actually benefiting workers without these companies retaliating. Because when, contrary to popular belief, these companies are not like these little magical benevolent figures. You got a guy at the top of that who has a brain and a mind just like anybody else, except he's richer and can do more direct stuff. And he says, "Oh, they just gave all these different companies a $3 wage. Let's up our stuff by $5." Like that kind of thing doesn't just come because you decided to pay people more. It's someone looking at what you're doing and trying to react toward that in a way that saves them or gains them more cash. Same thing with Amazon. They hire people part-time to keep more money for themselves, or for Bezos in particular. But you get the point that it's not done because they're on some shortage of workers or they can't afford to pay people. They're doing it so they can scrape and get as much coins as possible with their dirty, greedy selves. Oh, Dirk, your favorite senator. It was Manchin. It was his birthday 2 days ago. Everybody's favorite right-wing Democrat, wonderful environmentalist. Dirk says if only unions got strong again. I know you were probably in West Virginia that day, and that's why you didn't come in the stream. Oh wait, you did. It was in that the live show though, not the environmental one where I actually did mention. Man, I had no idea either. It was just by pure coincidence, happenstance. Yeah, I'll him and let's see, 1 year closer to 100. Yeah, he's like 71. He can piss me off in the Senate for another 5 years now. It was him, Cinema, and the dude from Alabama that only is a senator because he ran against someone accused of molesting everybody that voted against the Green New Deal. Or rather, was it just those two? And then I know Angus King voted against it for no reason. It was like 3 people that weren't part of the Republican Party that voted to vote against that proposal when it came up in the Senate. So we really got 57 nay votes. That's crazy as hell. And no one's gonna say kick those Democrats out. No one's gonna say we need to primary them. Nothing. What happens if the rest of what happens if the next Jimmy Hoffa hijacks a major union? I mean, look, aside from some of the corrupt stuff from his later career, I understand that Hoffa wasn't like he didn't destroy Teamsters. I'm just saying. From what I remember, I have to go look and reading his stuff again. It's been a while. It's nice to see somebody try to like pay attention to him where it's not just about where did they put his body. Oh man. Pre-disaster mitigation grants for high-risk hurricane communities over 10 years. So he wants $25 billion for hurricane disaster prevention. Like I said, it's all on the website. You can see it for yourself if you want the link. And then I can't wait for when they have the climate debate and they're like, this is all very wonderful and and designed and innovative, but how are you going to get it through Congress? It's like, well, I mean, that's kind of a false choice if you know that you have members of both parties who aren't going to back your stuff. You just have to put public pressure on them, and then if they don't budge on that, you got to vote them out. I mean, all these people are up for reelection in over the course of a president's term, so it's not entirely impossible to do that. The Amazon is on fire. Hope the DNC won't push a centrist on the people. Well, they're already trying to screw Tulsi out of the next debate. They've already attempted to smear Sanders with the, letting prisoners vote. Yang was getting smeared over not wearing a tie, so we can pretty much all the people who are like to the left are actually exciting to someone in some respect are all getting shoved out for one way or another. See, Bernie is going to have to get the pen going. Executive power for all his policy. Dirk writes. Yeah, that's what's crazy to me because like when a Democrat runs, they ask them how are you gonna pay for it and how are you gonna do this stuff with Congress. But then it's like, did you guys not watch Trump sign dozens and dozens of executive orders? Like executive orders having to do with immigration, having to do with just all kind of anything he thought of a big deal, he did it. So I don't see why we can't do the same thing for guns or for the environment. It's not hard. It's not hard because it's been proven by other people to be something that's within the reach of anyone that actually wants to do this stuff. That's why I said it's a false choice. Where it seems like sometimes people they ask these questions and they almost act as if like you'll have someone who says I don't know much about Yang. Like go on his website. He's got all his proposals on there. Oh, I know why you don't go over there because you don't like to read. I keep telling people I am not smart. I don't have a problem with reading. And it's like it's always the same people who will accuse you of thinking you know more than they do that don't even open the damn book or read some article. When I was talking to that lady lacking logic, I had mentioned that people don't like to read anymore, just like as a general thing. And it's like, oh, people just like to read. Sure, it's like yeah, but that's kind of the problem because when you're talking about look, both Yang and Sanders's plans are about overhauling an entire policy, which is U.S. environmental laws. You can't describe that in a paragraph when you have to explain how you're going to pay what amount of money you want for certain things, what that'll do. Like it, the attention spans on these people and these debates giving you this little 30-second soundbite to say something that's actually important. They're not doing us any favors. That's why on here, I don't mind coming and talking for 40 or 50 minutes about this stuff because you can't break it down in some little thin, small vacuum. It's not realistic. Ruben says some idiot I was arguing with about impeaching Trump tried to claim that the Republicans who were most pro Kavanaugh got the highest losses in the 2018 midterms as an example to why impeachment. Oh, well, I just know that when McCaskill and Heitkamp lost, people tried to say, "Oh, it's because they didn't vote for Kavanaugh." If they just voted for him, their red states that already hated them would have, loved them so much. And I'm like, I look at Jones, like this is the guy who voted for Trump's bank deregulation. He voted for, I think, what was it, Trump's Secretary of State, the guy that the Attorney General. It was him and two other ones. Like, I guarantee you, he is still going to lose that election next year to Moore or whoever the Republican nominee is, because they don't care as long as you have a D or an R next to your name. They don't care about trying to replace you or flipping on you or whatever. The only person I've seen be able to have supporters from the opposite party was Collins. And after she voted for Kavanaugh, all these people act like she's the devil. You betrayed women. You're a disgrace to the uterus. You guys loved her when she saved your little wonderful right-wing ACA, but this is their attention span. All these good votes over a 20-year career, and they all get usurped by one random Supreme Court justice who whether he got turned down or not was still going to have a right-wing person on the court anyway. I don't support some of the nationalism ideas from the Green, some of the nationalization ideas from the Green New Deal, but I could swallow my feelings if it means not dying. I mean, look, I don't have a problem with it. I'm simply upset by the fact that the same people who oppose it, don't have anything of their own. Like, if you read Manchin's statement after he voted against, it was like, it's nice to dream, but I'm for real solutions. Well, what the hell solution do you have? Like, you sponsor a few bills here and there, but name a major law you're trying to see that overhauls the energy crisis. I mean, it's just like I don't understand how people don't get that, where it's not just about backing that policy. It's that when you have people who don't have their own idea, but they tell you yours sucks, well, it already makes you look more and more disingenuous because you don't want to. It seems as if you're not trying to recognize the severity of the issue. That's why Mike Lee gave that little stupid speech where he got up there talking about how babies were the solution to climate change. I was just sitting there watching that carnival, amazed. People actually voted for that, and I hate talking about him like that because he's one of the few Republicans that has, I guess, led the charge to get out of Yemen. So he's still not as horrible as the rest of them, but it's annoying. Okay, Ruben said, "Oh, I didn't read the rest of Ruben's comment. Was a good idea. The first thought that came to my mind was Joe Manchin, a Democrat, voted yes to Kavanaugh and got the best turnout of the midterm. Remember what Kyle from Secular Talk said about him when he did the video with Jimmy after the midterm, where he said Manchin has got to be a magician. You spit in your base's face and they still vote for you. But he didn't. What's notable is that if you look at the margin from when he ran in 2012 and the margin from this time or last year, it was completely worse. He won last time by like 20 points. This time it was like by 3 or 4. People were sick of him. They dipped out. They might not have voted for the other person, but they sure didn't keep him around. It's the same thing with Cruz, where it's like all these people brag about O'Rourke losing, but no one wants to mention that Cruz lost 200,000 votes, which in any other state besides mine and maybe New York and his state of Texas would kill a candidate's chances of winning if they had that close of a margin on them. Okay, Dirk says, speaking of the court, with Bader Ginsburg, better not die until Bernie gets there. I still can't get over these people who act like they have some kind of control over. Like, dude, I read comments and they're still on YouTube of people saying, I hope the Democrats keep Kavanaugh out of office until the election. Like, man, be realistic. If they stop him from getting the court, Trump is just going to nominate another person off of his list, and then they'll be on there. I mean, don't even try to pretend. And unfortunately, we're stuck with Cat. I like how everybody forgot who Gorsuch was. Like, nobody remembers. That dude's just as terrible because he's not accused of any sexual crap. He gets to be disgusting, without the press. Let's see. Ruben says he almost lost to Paula Jean in the primaries. Yeah, she got like 30% of the vote. It was great. And she was outspent by like 8-1. So it was really a test of how unpopular he is. But, the media doesn't cover anybody. I think she's running against the other one, More Capito. So hopefully she can pull that off. I'm just tired of people running for office and actually being worth a damn, and then they don't even get any attention. And people want to say, well, if you had just campaigned harder, you would have been able to pull. I was like, did you even see what the hell happened? Or do you just like enjoy rattling off at the mouth? The only election you can run in and get actual, like, real attention is the presidential one. And that's only because people pay 10 times more attention to this than they do any of their governor or senator races. I still can't get over last year of voting against Feinstein twice, and she just kept winning. It's like, damn it. So go away. Ruben says Kavanaugh supports Roe v. Wade, and that's the decision. That's the one decision that the hair to get brought up about the Supreme Court. Yeah, but they don't talk about him back in corporations 87% of the time. Like that guy is a full-on just stooge for banks and these other places, but they let they let their blind rage over this thing with this woman get them upset and whatnot. Let's see. I was a Warren fan until she left Bernie high and dry in 2016. I fear if she was Trump will call for Pocahontas and it will work. Thoughts? I don't know if it would work, but like my thing with her is that the people give her credit for the economic stuff and blah blah blah, but you look at her international issues and it's a mixed bag. Like you're telling me about how crazy Trump is, but you're voting for all the military budgets and the extensions for him to do more and more. Like I don't see how those two things can square up. Where you can't call this person dangerous, but then give them hundreds of $billions to do anything. So, room says that I hear get brought up. Sorry, no, it's all right. I'm not getting mad at you. This is an English class. I have never seen James before. This is some brand new character. Oh, he just completely shocked me. She is watered down Bernie. Well, no, what this guy actually said that he thought was happening is the media knows she's not as committed to any of the stuff she says as Sanders is. So they'll try to like prop her up as a more serious, perfected version of him. And then when she goes up and he goes down, then they'll start trying to get Harris back up again, or Biden or somebody else that they actually are really for. They're like 50% for her, and then like 100 for the other two. More particularly, I keep telling people that Harris was the picked candidate, but nobody wants to believe that. It's like plan was for her to win that Senate seat, which she did, and then go over during the initial summer of when she was senator in 2017 and get picked by the DNC's financial contributors in Martha's Vineyard as the candidate because of two things. She was a woman and she was of minority. So they could call you sexist and racist if you didn't vote for her or support her. It was all a perfectly strategized move to play identity politics until we're all deceased. Let's see, English, but live in Germany. Am a software engineer, but I care about American politics. Well, I'm glad. It's the stuff we do affects other countries, and that's why it's so disgraceful that it's so shameful that a lot of people over here kind of just ignore it. I actually have a video I'm going to do where I talk about this guy that he'll be the first one to tell you this stuff doesn't matter, but he pays so much attention to it. So it's either going to be about that particular thing of him or the little fatalist mentality that he has that is really like disgusting to some extent. I don't like it at all. Dirk says if the media can get Kamala or Buddha trash, they will go for war. I know Dirk didn't actually say it. I'm going to say it. Oh, well. They will go for Warren, but it is media last case scenario for not talk about Bernie. Ruben says, I think the goal for Harris to take down Biden over his Southern Democrat past, and that will be used to hype up her image. I mean, you saw them going gaga over her little stupid debate performance. I never have seen people just take something that really is not anything at all and then try to like make it this big, huge, like moment of inspiration. It's like, yeah, the guy is what, 20, 30 years her senior, and he's been in office since he was a relatively young man. I'm not surprised what he did impacted her. And it was kind of a thing for a lot of those post Adlai Stevenson Democrats to kind of just act like moderate Republicans. So they go around or to act like the Southerners that they are and, endorse that kind of stuff. So it's not some big shock. So it's really ridiculous, man. People try to pretend as if what she's done or is good or impressive or whatnot. I remember I was gonna, Ruben, I was thinking of doing some kind of like maybe not expose type video, but there's just so many people who don't know anything about her, any of the dirty stuff she did before becoming senator, any of the dirty stuff she's done since becoming a senator. Like I hate that people don't look into stuff at all. That's why Yang's environmental plan is going to be completely like, understand with me, I like it when candidates specify what they want to do when they don't speak in platitudes like we had yesterday with Walsh. Um, which that interview wasn't from yesterday, but it was still recently conducted. And he didn't tell you why he was running other than Trump's a mean guy. So when you have candidates who say, I want to do this for this, I want to spend this amount of money on that, I want to transform this system, and here's how I want to do it. That's the kind of stuff that I can at least be excited about or want to pay attention to. But because it's not, and you saw this in Sanders's interview with Joe Rogan, because it's not sexy, it doesn't get covered, and it sure as hell isn't going to get looked into by these same clowns who will tell you that these people, they don't know anything about them. It's like, well, go look it up. I sent somebody a Sanders town hall, the one he did with Fox News. They watched. I gave literally for an entire month. I asked them, "Can you watch this?" They watched the first 4 minutes of it, and they tell me that oh, I'm so like. Then don't come around me telling me you don't know who to vote for. You literally have the candidate right there being asked a wide array of questions, and you just won't check it out. It's like at a certain point, I just have to cut the umbilical cord and say you're on your own, because if you don't read this stuff, and even if I read it for you, which I did on the stream on Saturday, and if you don't watch this stuff, even if I send it to you and you can click the thing and just hear the person speak while you're doing housework and other different chores since you're so busy, then go to hell. Like I'm tired of trying to simplify and decomplicate stuff for people that aren't interested, but that like to feign and pretend they are because reasons. It makes them feel good. Oh, I'm not completely ignorant. I just watched 5 minutes of this person talk out of 100. I mean, I'm so sick of these people. It's just like when that person told me that they wouldn't read One Piece because it's too long. And I'm like, it's a very long series that if you read a little bit day by day, you can get through. I started in May. I'm at chapter, it's like 600 and something. You read a little bit each day and then you progress. They want to tell you about the show and all the filler. Then read the book. It's the same story, except without the extra stuff that you hate so much. It's like you haven't even seen it. How do you know you hate it so much? Let's see. Obama used drones like crazy. Oh, we've talked about his international actions on here plenty of times. So I said I really hate, people like talk about Trump's immigration stuff as the nail in the coffin for decency. I think it was keeping Obama's 7 wars going. Like what kind of bizarre world do I live in where you can kill 85,000 children, but because you have a D next to your name, it's okay, and there's no type of problem, and you're a great like he has a 60% approval rating. I almost like that embarrasses me. Like I feel ashamed when I see that. And I know it's not because all Americans are some evil, heartless pricks that are okay with destroying people overseas for no reason. They just don't know, but they don't know as a choice of their own volition. So, that's pretty much that. Does anyone have any couple last things to say before I decide to dip out? Any further comments, stipulations, speculations, theories, positions? Let's see. Oh, thank you. Well, I'll be doing another one I'll be doing 2 on Saturday, another one on Sunday, another one on Monday, and then I'll just upload stuff throughout the week. I don't have anything else to say. You mean type, Ruben? Be the grammatical expert. So I think you meant to say pronounce this, or put fingers to keyboard. Let's see. Sadly, I don't even know what that is. I don't know. Maybe that was the joke that I didn't. I was supposed to get it. It was a like an in gag or whatever. I don't know where Dirk went. I hope he has something to say. Some final comment. Dirk says some people think climate change isn't a big deal. They are too far gone. But anywho, that's why I said that I'm like that's the false thing about political stuff that people want to pretend as if just because someone's into this stuff they have to like talk to people of varying belief systems, and you don't need to speak to any Trump supporters. You don't need to talk to any Hillary supporters. You don't need to talk to any person that you don't want to about this stuff, because with me, I just lay out my position and that's it. I don't sit there and argue with them. I do. Somebody wants to hear what I have to say about a topic, I'll say it. But as far as like this debate stuff back and forth, so I resigned myself a long time ago to the fact that there are certain people who, no matter how much proof is pushed toward them or shown or demonstrated, they're going to say screw it. I have 3 kids. Climate change scares the crap out of me. Yeah, it will directly impact them just as it will us. Okay, Dirk says if they want info, they can look it up. You got the stuff typed up. That's my point. That they like. That's why I said before, if I were to go out and put my intellect on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably be like a 4 or a 5. And then like all these other people, because the bar is so low, make me end up looking like some brilliant person. It's really embarrassing. And again, it's not because of like you get my point, because it's so easy to find stuff out now about anything. I don't feel sympathy, especially if you're a millennial or some person that knows how to use computers. Right, that's just me. People they travel at their own ridiculous pace. So thank you for checking this out. I'll do a stream on Saturday morning about some topic. We got one on Sunday and Friday as well, and then I'll put some stuff up during the week of like always. So have a good rest of your week, or have a good day, whatever.